Hi, I'm Steve Howard of Cooked Garden. I'm often asked why I go through all the trouble to work in this hot Texas weather in my garden just to grow my own food. After all, I could just go down to a local supermarket, pick up what I need, and forget about it. But I have a problem with all of the pesticides and fertilizers used today in commercial agriculture. It really bothers me, so I really prefer not to buy that way if I can avoid it. Plus, on average, most produce travels approximately 100 or 1,500 miles when it's out of season just to get to your local store. So that makes me real uncomfortable, coupled with the amount of fuel it uses to drive that. If I can at least eliminate my part, it makes me feel better about it. But most importantly, the biggest reason that I have decided to work my own garden is this right here. Look at this. This is a 28-pound watermelon, one of several, grown down in that little compost planter. If you've watched the earlier videos, you've seen what I went through to plant it, which was basically nothing. Toss the bag in the ground, cut a hole, throw in the seeds, and keep it watered. And this is the result. Measured it out and weighed. It's just under 28 pounds, roughly 28 pounds. And if it's anything like the others we pulled out of there, it is really a tasty watermelon. So this is the main reason I grow my own. The things you can grow, the size, the flavor, it just can't be matched in my mind. Excuse me. Oh, that's heavy. But the real reason I wanted to come to you today is tell you and show you kind of what I do for weed control. Living out here in the country as we do, we're almost completely surrounded by native grass and woods, a lot of deer, so we have weeds everywhere, and they're constantly trying to encroach on the garden. They try and get in from the outside along the bottom of the fence row, and then in the garden between the planters I use raised beds. They're constantly trying to get in there. So what do you do to keep them down without working outdoors all the time, especially out here when it's so hot? Today it's 102 degrees. Well, a while back I ran into a method by a lady named Ruth Stout in this book called No Work Garden Book, I guess the name is. And in it she basically just uses preferably straw, but if you can't, hay as a mulch or a bed just to keep the weeds down. And it's worked wonderfully for me. On the outside, around the perimeter of the garden, which we'll show you here in a moment, I've used my own grass clippings. We've got too much grass, I'll be the first to admit, but we're constantly reducing that. And as I do mow, we place those grass clippings, because I don't use any fertilizer or pesticides on the grass either, around the edge of the garden, and that keeps the weeds from getting in. It's worked wonderfully. So my garden is, the fence keeps the deer out, the weed and grass mulch keeps the weeds out, and everything works really good. Let's go down there and I'll show you what I've done and how I did it and how well it's working, and see for yourself. Thanks a lot. Let's go. Here in this part of the garden you can see that for the most part we really don't have as many weeds showing up in between as you see out in the field. However, this is nothing more than hay or straw laid down, and then as it packs, as you see it is now, I just pull from one of the bales I've saved here and spread it around, and that holds till the next batch. Now over here where I did not spread it very thick anyway, intentionally just so I could show you, is you'll see that to the far side along the fence row it's gotten pretty thick. Well, that's because I didn't have the mulch laid down, but we're about ready to add some more here, and I'll show you that it's so simple that it's just hard to believe. I always keep a couple of bales on hand for doing exactly this. These have been outside for a while. Doesn't really hurt them because you're not using them for feed. Straw usually comes in wire bales like this. You need a wire cutters, at least down here. whereas the hay comes with twine that you can easily cut with a knife or whatever. The straw you just take and you spread around. It breaks off the bale in little sections, which you can then just tear off and shake around. And don't worry if it looks like it's a little thick, or it will pack as the weather. This hay straw rather has been out here for a little longer, so it seems to be already starting to decompose a little bit, which is fine with me, because it'll definitely decompose through the winter here anyway. Trick is to get it open and just spread it around. Then along the outside of the fence, I drop some grass clippings and just keep them pulled up tight against the fence, the compost down, and in the meanwhile act as a mulch to once again try and keep some of the weeds at bay. Works quite well. Now all we do is grab some, keep them tight up against the fence, water them down, or if you get rainfall where you are, let the rain do it. The damper they get, the better it works as a mulch. This is the edge of the property, and as you can see, there's weeds, natural grasses, cactus everywhere. And had I not done this, it would have taken over the garden months ago. Well, now that you've seen how I keep my weeds down in the raised beds that I have here, simply using straw, hay, or even grass clippings, hopefully you can use this information, try it yourself. It's really worked well for me here. And not only that, if you use it in your plants, you can keep them a lot moister. It'll conserve water, holding them in the roots. And at the same time, which is really important here in Texas, is it'll keep them a lot cooler from that hot summer sun. So give it a try. If you're not really sure, just try a little section at a time and see how it compares with whatever you're doing now. And let me know what you find out. Let me know if it's worked for you or if you've tried it a little differently. I'm always learning too. That's why I'm doing these. Hopefully I can share what I've learned. So until next time, see ya. Thanks for watching.